Okay, time now for today's edition of Truth or Fake, our daily fact-checking segment in association with the France 24 Observers. I'm joined by James Creedon. Hello, James.
Hi, Tom.
Now, a Twitter account that appears to be linked to the BBC has shared an alarming quote attributed to the incumbent, Emmanuel Macron, here in France.
That's right.
I'm smelling a rat.
Often things in this segment are fake, so it is indeed not the most authentic tweet ever issued by the BBC. In fact, it didn't exist at all. And but of course, to the untrained eye, or even to be honest, to the rather keen eye, this looks like the real deal because you've got the little blue tick up there next to BBC World, and it's anyway. Just to be for anyone with the volume down, this is not the real deal. Just to make that very clear visually. So it looks like a BBC tweet. It uses the graphics, it's got the blue tick, etc. And what it has is a quote attributed to the French president saying that over the next 20 years, 60 million refugees are going to arrive in Europe. And that quote is linked to sanctions on Russia and a kind of an economic collapse in Africa because of imports of Russian wheat. All very convoluted stuff. And of course, in an election that is pitting Emmanuel Macron against the far right with immigration and issues such as refugees coming out of Ukraine and whatnot, very much front and centre of debates and policy, this is something that even if the president had said it, and let's just make it clear, he never said this. If you search left, right and centre all over his official declarations, he never said this. It never was uttered at all. And even if he had uttered it, would he be drawing attention to such a complex and divisive issue in a campaign when Marine Le Pen is sort of beating the drums of we don't want too many immigrants or refugees? Unlikely. So I suppose the content is really the first thing that should alert one to the fact that this might not be the real deal. In any case, it's worth pointing out that it was a screenshot. If you were to go onto the BBC World's official Twitter account and go down to the time that tweet was supposedly published, it doesn't exist. So if you do a little bit of sleuthing, going onto the official account, scrolling down to where the screen grab claims to have been, published, it just didn't exist at all. Now, the photo was actually a photo on a BBC article tweeted somewhat earlier in the day. This is going back to the 11th of April. So there was just a bit of doctoring that went on, and then it ended up essentially being tweeted by Russian news agents, Russian politicians rather. It also got an awful lot of traction on Telegram, and as you can see here, I think the Telegram channel in question, Intel Slava Z, that's an aggregator of Russian news covering conflicts and geopolitics, and it got 130,000 views just clocked up today. That's the number of views it got so far on that Telegram channel. So you see the way in which this can really take off, and then if it can be relayed from there elsewhere. In any case, our journalists did speak to somebody from BBC Monitoring, one of their journalists, Olga Robinson. She said, "Look, this is very similar. You might remember, Tom, to other false fake news attributed to BBC Media last week. We were talking about it on the segment, saying that Ukraine had targeted the train station in Kramatorsk." When most people, I think, at this point can safely conclude it was a Russian missile, not a Ukrainian missile, targeting its own train station. So it's the same sort of techniques being used here. And what can happen then, unfortunately, is that it ends up on the Twitter feeds of politicians, Russian state TV, etc. In any case, it's completely fake. And not alone did Emmanuel Macron never say it, but certainly the BBC never tweeted it.
Okay, a bit of copy and paste work going on there. Now, staying with the French presidential election, the far-left candidate who came third in the first round of voting, I'm talking, of course, about Jean-Luc Mélenchon, fake news concerning him is also doing the rounds. What's it saying?
All right, so this is a screen grab from an interview that he gave back in 1991, and the headline of that article says, at the time he was a Socialist Party politician before leaving the Socialist Party, the mainstream left, to go in the direction of far left politics. And he said the only party currently regenerating politics is the National Front, at the time when Jean-Marie Le Pen was the head of the party. Now, that he did actually say that, but it was taken out of context. He was being critical of the Socialist Party for not regenerating politics or offering new ideas enough to to the electorate, and he preceded that quote by saying, "I'm going to tell you something awful." So he wasn't praising or supporting the National Front at the time. He was just, alluding to a lack of new ideas on the part of the Socialist Party. But that has been, you see, the whole thing is his 21% of the vote within spitting distance of getting into the second round. Marine Le Pen getting 23% to be the runoff candidate. Both candidates are now hoping they will attract a section of that electorate.
Okay, and just briefly before we wrap up, a rather surprising photo of the French president. Tell us more.
There you go. Now, some looking at this photo were actually wondering on Twitter, and it's not really fake news, but some were saying, is this real? Was it photoshopped? What's going on here? Why? This is a very relaxed image of the president with his shirt buttoned down and some chest hair on view. But this is actually the style of the official photographer of the French president at the moment. You'll remember that particular image of the president working through the weekend in hoodie, this towards the beginning of the Ukraine war. So it's very much the style of political communications and of the official photographer of the French president, despite some raising an eyebrow as to whether or not it's the real deal. It is, in fact.
Okay, well, thank you for telling us all of that. James Creedon with today's edition of Truth or Fake. Thank you so much. Up next.